Hey everyone. Welcome to the channel. I'm Andre, but you maybe know me better as AS SharpDev. I have already had very good experiences with Unity and game development in the past. I developed my first games back then for Windows Phone using the XNA framework. This shows you how unbelievably old I am. I then switched to Unity for Android apps and games development. Since I mainly deal with my favorite programming language C# on this channel, where I already have more than 15 years of experience as a full-time programmer, Unity, which also creates the scripts with C#, fits perfectly on my channel. If you're here, you're probably just as excited as I am about making your own video games. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Unity, a tool that might seem a bit daunting at first, but trust me, it's easier than you think when you break it down step by step. Unity is the engine behind some of the world's most beloved games, from Hollow Knight to Monument Valley, and even mobile hits like Angry Birds. It's a powerhouse that opens up endless possibilities for creativity. But starting from scratch can feel overwhelming, especially with all the tutorials out there that assume you already know a lot. That's why today, I'm simplifying things with a beginner-friendly, 3-step process that'll have you building your very own version of Flappy Bird. So, whether you've dabbled in game development before or this is your first time, stick around. By the end of this video, you'll not only have a working game but also the confidence to start experimenting with your own ideas. Ready to jump in? Let's get started. The first thing we need to do is get Unity installed on your computer. Unity has a lot of tools, but don't worry, we'll only install what we need. Start by heading over to the Unity website and downloading Unity Hub. This is a centralized place where you can manage all your Unity projects and installations. Once you've downloaded Unity Hub, go ahead and create a free account if you haven't already. This account will give you access to the Unity editor, which is the software we'll use to build our game. After you're logged in, it's time to install the Unity editor itself. For this tutorial, I'm using Unity version 2022.3.43 LTS, long-term support, which is stable and perfect for beginners. During the installation process, make sure to include Visual Studio Community. This is a powerful code editor that comes integrated with Unity, making it easier to write and debug your scripts. It's an essential tool, so don't skip it. You can also modify Visual Studio with many different add-ons. For our tutorial, and because we are using Visual Studio as our code editor, you have to select Game Developing with Unity. That's enough for us to create scripts for Unity. But feel free to add whatever you need. You can always change this after installation. Just open the Visual Studio installer. Once everything is installed, open Unity Hub. You'll see an option to start a new project. Click on it, and select the 2D core template. There are also many other templates available. 2D and 3D, and also for mobile. But for our tutorial we use the 2D core template. It will also be possible to convert the finished game to a mobile game that's running on Android phones or other. Our template is ideal for our Flappy Bird clone because it's optimized for 2D games. Give your project a cool name, something like My Flappy Clone, and hit create. Now, you're officially in the world of game development. Alright, now that Unity is up and running, let's get comfortable with the interface. Unity has a lot of panels, and it might look a bit intimidating at first, but once you understand what each part does, it'll all make sense. Located at the bottom, this is your library where all your game's assets are stored. It's called the Project panel. This includes everything from sprites and sounds to scripts and prefabs. Here you can import your data or just drag and drop it to this area. It's important to keep this area organized because as your game grows, so will your collection of assets. I've used some sprites for the bird and the pipe from Canva, and I'm going to import them into my project like so. I'd recommend you make your own, that's always more fun, but if you have zero artistic ability, then check out Canvas for assets like this. On the left side, you'll find the hierarchy panel. This is essentially a list of everything in your current scene, like characters, obstacles, backgrounds, and even the camera. The scene is in the most games the level. Think of it as a bird's eye view of your game structure. The inspector is on the right side, and it's where you'll spend a lot of your time. Whenever you select an object in the hierarchy or scene view, its properties will appear here. This is where you can change things like the color of a sprite, the speed of an animation, or the gravity affecting your bird. This is your creative canvas. The scene view lets you place and manipulate objects in your game world. You'll use tools here to move, scale, and rotate objects, designing the levels and environment of your game. Start by creating your first game object. This will be our bird character. In the hierarchy panel, right-click and select Create Empty. This creates an empty game object in your scene. So, What's a game object in Unity? Think of it as an invisible container floating in your game world. It's got its own position, rotation, and scale, but here's where the fun begins. You get to fill this container with components to give it life and power. Want to slap a bird image onto it? No problem, just add a sprite renderer component and boom, instant bird. But that's not all. Everything in your game is a game object. Yup, the bird, the pipes, the camera, even the user interface. They're all powered by components you can tweak and customize. Where does all this magic happen? Right inside the inspector panel, the ultimate playground for messing with your game objects. This is where you fine-tune every detail to bring your game to life. Let's come back to our first game object. Next, go to the inspector panel and rename this object to bird for clarity, and we can see and change the game object's position, rotation, and scale under transform. Now, we need our bird to actually look like something, right? So, let's add a sprite renderer to it. This will display an image or sprite on the screen. With the bird object selected, click on Add Component in the inspector, and search for Sprite Renderer. You'll see a box appear where you can drag and drop a sprite image. Once you've added the sprite, you should see your bird appear in the scene view. Now, if you're into tweaking things, Unity gives you some awesome tools to move stuff around, resize it, and more. Oh, and don't miss this extra tab, Game View. This is where you'll see exactly what your game looks like through the main camera when it's running. From this drop-down, you can pick a resolution or aspect ratio to see how your game will look on different screens. Let's go with 1920 by 1080 for that sweet HD vibe. Instead of scaling it down, let's just zoom out the camera. Remember, like I said earlier, even the camera is just another game object in the hierarchy. It's got a camera component with all sorts of settings we can tweak. By adjusting the size, we can zoom out and give the bird some breathing room. Oh, and why not change the background color while we're at it? Perfect. Alright, we're all set. Now, we can hit that play button and, well, kick off the world's most boring game. But don't worry, it's all part of the process. Congratulations, you've just placed your first game object. Let's do a quick summarize. Unity has 4 key panels that you'll be using all the time. Project panel, this is where all your game assets live, from textures to scripts. It's your game's toolbox. Hierarchy panel, this is your current levels lineup. It lists every game object in the scene, so you always know what's in play. Inspector panel, here's where the real magic happens. This lets you view and tweak every detail of your game objects. Scene view, it's your window into the game world, where you can see and edit the layout of your level in real time. And let's not forget, a game object is an invisible container that you can load up with components, like a sprite renderer to give it visuals. Now you can take your time to familiarize with the stuff of this part and become a feeling for Unity, and all its different panels and things around it. In the next part we starting with the game and add some physics and basic controls to it. We also create a pipe system and integrate the movement of the pipes with random pipe height. So don't miss the next part and happy coding. I linked you the next part in the description. Feel free to check also my channel for many different topics and tutorials.